guys. Welcome back. Hello to the new people and welcome back to the old people. So this is going to be part 3 on my my playlist here, Campfire Chats. So today, again, as you can see, I'm out in the woods. And today we're going to talk first aid kits. So as you'll see in an upcoming video, first aid kit is always one of my first things that I pack. I always like to make sure that I'm well kitted out for the woods, because you never know what's going to happen out here. I've had a couple of instances in my life where, you know, it was all supposed to be a walk in the park. There was never supposed to be anything happen. It was supposed to be absolutely perfect. And then I've done something stupid like cut a quarter of my finger off. So if you're going to spend any time out here, it's a given that you're going to end up having an accident at least once. So a well-stocked first aid kit is always the first thing that you should pack. All right, big disclaimer here. I'm not a medical professional. I have not received medical training. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a paramedic. I'm not an EMT. I'm not any of that stuff. All I am is just a guy in the woods. But also, through my life, youth organizations that I've been involved with, and my present-day employer, I've had the luxury of having to do first aid training and refresher training almost every single year of my life since I've been 13. Also, the good thing is with my employer, if they deem I need additional skills, they provide me with those skills for whatever they require. So that's my background. I'm not a doctor. Don't take any of this as medical advice. I'm not going to give you any detailed medical procedures or anything like that. I'm just going to show you my first aid kit and the premise behind me picking the stuff that I did. And we're going to go from there. So that's that out of the way. So let's move right along. So the first thing, before you even pick a first aid kit, before you even consider, you know, kitting yourself out or anything like that, investing the money, because let's be honest, this stuff's not cheap. Before you even consider kitting yourself out, the first thing you should do is get training. Training. All right, that's the first tool in your first aid kit. You need to be able to take whatever it is, whether it be basic first aid, standard first aid. I'm in Canada, so it's the St. John Ambulance Program. I'm pretty much sure that's the same for America. You know, you have to be able to get the training and understand the basic first aid training. That should be your first step right there. Once you understand how to do all the simple stuff, like take care of burns, bleeds, broken bones, yada, 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 then you can move on to a bit more of the more advanced skills. Now, if you're unlike me, if you're not like me and you don't have an employer that gives you these skills, the next thing you should be looking at is taking a wilderness first aid course. All right, a lot of the local, you can find them on Facebook, and a lot of the local groups will provide wilderness first aid training. That right then and there, that's your most valuable tool. All right. Obviously, the next most valuable tool is, now that you have the training, now is the equipment that you bring. Now, little notes on first aid kits. Again, this is heavily dependent on the type of camping you do or the type of environment that you're going to be in and the type of injuries that you could potentially sustain. If you're going to be one of the controlled experience people and all you're going to do is stay in a national campground, you're not going to need a level 1 trauma kit. You're not going to need a level 2 trauma kit. You're not going to have to worry about trucking in SAM splints and Israeli bandages and everything else. A simple first aid kit that you pick up at a big box store is going to be more than sufficient for what you need. It's when you start adding things to what you're doing that you start looking at a little bit more specialized equipment and a little bit more specialized training required, right? So, for starters, this is my first aid kit, all right? It's just a admin style pouch. It's well marked and identified as a first aid kit, so that if I yell for someone to go grab it, they're going to go grab it. So don't put your first aid kit, if you're going to build one, don't put your first aid kit in something that is non-identifiable. Second thing, try to keep it as portable as possible and try to keep it as small as possible. The reason behind this is not only just for weight and everything else and packability, but packability is the big thing. If it's small and easy to be packed and easy to throw in the bottom of a bag or in the trunk of a car or on the saddlebags on a bike or what have you, you're going to take it. If it's big and ungodly and ungangly, that is when you, as the individual, and I don't know you, but I know individual people, you're going to look at it and you're going to go, well, do I really need that? I could probably save the weight. And that's not what you should be doing. You can do that with infinitely more stuff, but a first aid kit you shouldn't scrimp on. Okay, so small, fairly lightweight, well packable, and easily identifiable. All right, so let's bust into this here. Again, this is another video that I'm going to try not to make a big run on here. I'm going to try to keep it to under 15 minutes. So let's break into it. First thing with and again, another note for my first aid kit, poles, big poles. You want big cord poles if you can, because you got to figure if you're all gibbled up and you're hurt and you're trying to hook an arm or use your teeth to open it up, you want to be able to do that. So no fiddly little zippers or little tiny snaps. Velcro's good in this regard because you want to rip into it. So, now this thing again is a little tickle trunk of mine. There's going to be a lot of stuff here. This is one of the first times I've opened this kit since I restocked it. And that's again another point that you should probably worry about first aid kits. Even though you may fully stock your kit, go through it every once in a while and restock what you use and also what's expired, medications, ointments, stuff like that, because it's going to be no good. The stuff's still going to work, but it's not going to work as well. Fair. All right, so let's move on to the biggest. We'll talk about tourniquets first. So I carry 2 tourniquets, okay, 2 Cat 5 tourniquets. One is in my kit, and usually one's on my person. Again, keeping in mind tailoring my kit to me. I do a lot with a tomahawk, with knives, stuff like that. Severe slashes and severe bleeds are a distinct possibility. So having a tourniquet and having the knowledge to use one effectively can save your life, especially if you're far away and something happens. I mentioned I carry 2. One stays in the kit and one's usually on my person. This way, if I'm off doing wood stuff, like gathering wood with an axe or a knife, I have the tourniquet on me in case I die. Or, it's not die, but slash myself pretty severely. 2 is 1, 1 is none. If you throw your first tourniquet on and it doesn't stop the bleed, you've got a second one to throw on and stop the bleed as well. Going right along with that, I also have, as I'll show you, a Sharpie marker. The Sharpie marker is for writing on the forehead at what time you applied the tourniquet. That's valuable information for any medical professional to know. So you should always keep a Sharpie in your med kit just for that purpose. And check to make sure that it works, because they dry out. All right, next, moving on to the next interesting bits. So, in keeping right along with my idea of keeping your kit geared to what you do, I do a lot of stuff out in the woods, plus I also do four-wheeling. So, although it's rare, puncture wounds are also possible for me. You trip, you fall, you stab, drive a knife through yourself, fall off your quad and get stabbed with a stick or anything. Puncture wounds are always something that I'm worried about, as well as deep bleeds. So what I use hemostatic dressing so that you can pack wounds. You can get this stuff. This is Celox. Quick Clot makes it. A few other places make it. All right. This stuff will, you pack this into a puncture wound and dress it up, and you should be able to stop the bleeds. That's the important thing. Remember, blood's got to go round to round, not out on the ground. Right along with that, I also carry a package of Celox crystals. So these again are a hemostatic agent, severe bleeds. It's just a matter of opening up this package, dumping the contents of this package into the wound, applying direct pressure along with a bandage, and this will save your life. Speaking of bandages, I carry an Olays modular bandage. All right, this can be opened up to a bunch of different configurations, different sizes. It comes with its own gauze packing, and it's a pressure bandage on top of that. So bandages are good, pressure bandages are better. Keeping right along with what I do and puncture wounds and etc. Now this is a little excessive even for my kit, but I have it, so I might as well use it. My employer trained me how to use these, so for puncture wounds, it's a good tool in the toolkit. These are SAM seals. Oops. This is a SAM seal for covering up puncture wounds in your chest. Again, what I deal with out here, I potentially could fall off my quad, either in an accident or a rollover or something, and I'm not wearing any type of armor or anything like that, just my jacket and maybe a layer of wool. So, again, it's a distinct possibility. It doesn't take up much space, so chest seal it is. Next up, pair of shears. You should always have a pair of scissors, pair of shears. This way you can cut clothing to get at wounds and actually effectively dress them. Also, it makes it good for doing up, trimming the ends off dressings and stuff like that. This is kind of interesting. Not everyone's going to have access to this, but this is Dermabond. Okay, this is basically crazy glue in a tube for stitching up, basically chemical stitches. This stuff's not bad. You can use it again. This stuff's designed to be a little less burny and a little less, blistery than crazy glue for piecing yourself back together again. Crazy glue will work. It just tends to burn more. It's not fun. It stings. It sucks. But if you have to, in a pinch, you can replace this with crazy glue. This stuff's a little bit more friendly, body friendly. Moving right along, 13 minutes I see. We'll try to get as much as this in, although we're coming up to a lot of everything here. Medications, travel medications. Again, mostly pain relievers, stuff like that. Allergy medication if you're an allergy sufferer. Things like that. Make sure you go in and you check them to make sure they don't expire. Polysporin. Again, the little cuts and little dings in here and there and splinters and everything else. You're going to want to have your polysporin so you don't get an infection. Good set of tweezers. Can't be understated. Pulling stuff out of you. Digging, trying to sterilize it and get pull stuff out of a wound. Stingers, stuff like that. Good set of tweezers. Rubber gloves. Not just for you, but for them. This one's got, I'm gonna try to make this one short, but I'm gonna try to yammer on to get all of this into one shot because I got a lot of stuff coming up here. All right. Next, we're gonna start off with triangular bandage for making slings and bandages, of course. Next, I bring a assortment of these Next Care bandages. These are both the small little dots, and I have the bigger ones in here. These bandages are really good. They stick to everything. They're water resistant. They're air resistant. It's what you want out in the woods to keep infection out. Next, I have Steri-strips. Okay, again, when you cut yourself wide open and you need to stitch yourself back together, Steri-strips are always a good thing to have. I have blister bandages. These are by Band-Aid brand. You can't really see in the package, but what these are is these have like a jelly dressing over top. They're designed to put against blisters so that you don't agitate it, and it speeds healing. They're also waterproof and airproof. Terragerm film. Once you either stitch yourself back up with the Steri-strips, or you glue yourself back together with the crazy glue, you're going to want a sterile barrier for your wound. That's what these are good for, and they're fairly large, so they can be used for different applications. And the last big thing in here, beyond all these other little bandages and that, emergency space blanket. And finally, alcohol wipes. So as you can see, guys, yeah, I was going to show you, but man, it just looks like a mess. I've got a lot of stuff packed in here. It's for me. It's not for anyone else. I think this is for myself. I'm content that this is a good assortment of stuff that I need to deal with any incidents that I have out in the woods, or any accidents or anything like that. It's going to be personal as to what you do and what your style of camping is. So get the training, do your research, build your kit, and be safe. Hopefully you never have to open it, right? All right, guys, thank you to my new subscribers. Thank you for subscribing. To my old subscribers, thank you again. If you like what you see, throw me a like. If you're new, subscribe to my channel. Hit the bell button to get my notifications. And we'll be seeing you next time on Duck Mountain Playlist. All right. Cheers.